everyone, we're back. But if we're really pleased to see us again. I'm Charlotte, this is Jenny, we're from the Bursary
Hi.
Foundation. We're going through some masterclasses in how to do some different elements for 11 plus and entrance exams whilst all the social distancing stuff is going on. So today's topic, we're going to be looking at writing to describe. Some of you might be saying, why are we looking for that? That's not in the September 11 plus exams. It's not. However, number one, great life skill to have anyway. Number two, if you're doing entrance exams or assessment days for independent schools, they are going to look at your descriptive writing, your story writing, or your persuasive writing, or a bit of a mixture of all of them, depending on what it looks like. So we want to get this down as early as possible whilst we're studying everything else at the same time. Okay. What do you think about descriptive writing, Jenny? Do you enjoy it generally?
Well, no, not really. The thought of a blank piece of paper scares me, to be honest, Charlotte.
Hmm, that's fair. So why is it you feel a bit scared by your blank paper then?
It just, I don't know. I feel like, I think maybe I worry that about the amount that I'm writing, maybe over the quality that I'm writing, and it just panics me. You know, I'm much more comfortable when I've got a question and I'm asked to fill in an answer.
Mm.
So I think what would really help me would be thinking about the kind of quality of my writing, even on a sentence level.
Okay.
So that I know when I sit down in an exam, I've got a toolkit of things that I might even write, have notes about next to me, so that reassures me that it's something to hang my sentences and paragraphs on, I think.
Okay. Great. Well, let's have a look at a descriptive writing question, see how you get on with that one then. So, I've done a version here. There's a lot of different ways they could lay it out. They're all asking you to do roughly the same thing. I've gone with a picture prompt just because I think they're a bit more fun. Also, fun fact, pictures are what they're using for descriptive writing in GCSE these days. So you're getting like a 5-year bonus advantage on the preparing for those as well. So for this one, you've been asked to do, I'm keeping it short, 2 paragraphs of persuasive writing. You might be asked to do a page or to write for 40 minutes or something like that. And we're doing the opening to a story where we need to describe the setting for that story. So we need to try and think of something that's exciting and something that is engaging. So what do we think of this as a picture?
Well, it's making me feel cold. It's making me feel a bit afraid. Um, it feels quite noisy to me. Quite uncomfortable, really.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? But that's really good because that means we've got loads of different things to write about. Okay, and all of those things you mentioned, where how do I feel physically or how do I feel emotionally, are really good ways that we can prompt ourselves to come up with some ideas. So, something I really like doing when I'm doing a piece of descriptive writing is to think, firstly, what are the kind of different techniques I need to include here? I've put a list down the side here of a few different ones that I use. I think every single school in the country has a slightly different version that they use to give you prompts for your descriptive writing. So you could write down the one that your school uses at the top of your page or the side of your page. There's loads of others that are used that I've not included here. Rule of 3, for instance, where you've got 3 adjectives or 3 verbs grouped together are great ones. Okay. If you can think of any others you think people should be used, pop it in the comments and share it for everyone else. So first thing I'll do, note that down so I don't forget what I should be including. Second thing I'd be doing is organising some of those initial ideas into a bit of a spider diagram of my 5 senses plus the emotions I'd be feeling. So I've got see, hear, touch. That could be things like temperature, feeling hot or cold as well. Smell. Taste, well, I presume you're not going to be going to lick the lighthouse and taste what that's like. However, there could be some little weird and wonderful things we could add in there. For instance, there's the ocean. What's the ocean like? It's salty. So maybe you could taste the salt spray of the ocean coming up or something like that. If you can't think of something for one particular of your five senses, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal, but see how much you can get for all of them. And then your emotions are really important. So the first reason is it gives you an idea of what kind of atmosphere you want to be creating. You said you felt a bit afraid or uncomfortable.
Alone. Yeah.
So that is what you want your reader to be feeling. So you want to be trying to choose words and adjectives that would help create that sensation of feeling fear, as an example. Maybe someone else might not feel fear looking at this. You might feel excited, as an example. Maybe this is some kind of amazing adventure you're off on that looks like this. Maybe you feel fascinated because this is a setting where you're studying the storm, as an example, or you're really into the history of what's going on at this lighthouse. There's loads of different ways we could go with this and loads of different stories we could tell.
And do you think in an exam it might be good to think outside the box a little bit and maybe not use the most obvious thing that springs to mind?
Yeah, definitely. Though you can also think, well, maybe the obvious thing that springs to mind for you might not be the obvious thing that springs to mind for someone else. For instance, I look at this and I think this is a ghost story or this is a pirate story. What do you think when you look at this, Jenny?
Yeah, I think it's maybe a shipwreck scenario, a voyage that's gone wrong, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, so we've got...
Makes me think of the Michael Morpurgo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Book.
Yeah, the...
Is it Kensuke's Kingdom?
Yeah, there's that, and he's done the Wreck of the Zanzibar as well. Michael Morpurgo's done a lot of shipwreck books, actually.
Yeah,
obviously he's interested there. But we've got 4 different possible story ideas between us there, right? We just need to pick the one that we find most interesting. So what would you feel is easiest to start with here, Jenny?
For me, I'm in a boat on my own and I'm afraid, I think. But the lighthouse is giving me some sort of hope that, that things might get better soon. Maybe I'm alone, I'm stuck in the ocean.
Okay, great. So do you notice anything about the way I'm noting down my ideas for each of these sections? Am I writing out big long sentences, for instance?
No, just keywords.
Absolutely. So for the sense of taste, for instance, I mentioned the idea that if you're in a boat, maybe there's the salt coming off the ocean. Looking at those other prompts, is there anything else that comes to mind for you for these different 5 senses?
Touch, I think I would definitely have some cold spray hitting my face. I think my fingers might be very cold on the oar of my boat. I think I generally feel very cold.
So we've got lots of coldness here. So something we might be thinking about at this point then is, rather than saying cold all the time, are there other things we could say? For instance, I might have, my fingers aren't cold, they are freezing.
Yeah, and there's some nice alliteration there.
Yep, which ticks off one of our points over on this side. How about for the other 3? Anything that quickly comes to mind there?
Here, well, I'm assuming if we've got some lightning, we might be having some thunder clapping. And the waves crashing on the rock. Yeah. Is that okay for what I might hear?
Yeah, definitely. How about for what you see? That's a really nice, easy one to start with if you're struggling for anything else.
So what I can see the kind of frothy break of the ocean.
Yeah, When we talk about the break of the ocean, we mean the waves, by the way, folks. Okay, so we've got the frothy break of the waves coming through. Anything else?
Got the very ominous looking sky.
Definitely.
And the forks of lightning that I can see.
What's the main object in the picture?
So it's a lighthouse.
Absolutely. So again, I've not put loads and loads of stuff down for every single one of those items. You could start adding those in as extra notes off this if you wanted to. And maybe that's something you lot can do by yourselves. Think about what other adjectives would you use here. So for instance, what colour are all of these different objects? What shape or size are they? Things like that. Okay. Anything for what you'd smell, Jenny?
Well, I find that quite a difficult one, really. If I'm imagining myself in a boat, maybe it's an old fishing boat and I can smell the kind of stale fishing nets around my feet or something.
Yeah, definitely. And that actually gives you something else to describe then, doesn't it? Because what's another thing you can see? Well, if you're in a boat for your story, you can describe the boat as well.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So remember, we're in exam conditions at the moment. You've probably got maybe half an hour to get all of this written up. So about 5 minutes just going through and doing this bit of planning is going to be really useful for you, because if you get a couple of sentences about each of these items that you've described, then that's enough to fill out half an hour of writing, so long as you go into a bit of detail. Remember, they're less worried about you trying to write 5 pages than they are in you just doing something that's interesting and includes lots of these really good techniques. Okay?
So it really is quality, not quantity.
It really is. Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who wants to, you can see if you can add some extra ideas to this. Put in the comments anything else that you'd want to write about. But I'm afraid I'm going to clear this off for now because we're on to the next slide. So clearing off.